Eddie Hearn is trying to tempt Kell Brook to fight on. If Eddie Hearn was still promoting Kell Brook and Conor Benn wasn't an up-and-coming welterweight star in the United Kingdom, I don't think Eddie Hearn would be so keen for Brook to continue fighting. In fact, after Brook lost to Terence Crawford, maybe I'm misremembering, but I swear Eddie Hearn was suggesting he should retire. You know, but now that he's got this Conor Benn fight, now I say, oh no, I think Brook should fight. Oh no, he shouldn't retire. He should fight Conor Benn. And he shouldn't fight Eubank. Yeah, he shouldn't fight Eubank, of course, because Eubank is with Sky. This is how Eddie Hearn's carrying on. Conor Benn versus Kell Brook. I like the fight. I think that it makes sense. You know, with all that being said, I think it makes sense. I think that Kell Brook, having fought at world level, could give us some type of gauge of where Conor Benn's at. I know he's fought some other people that have fought at world level, but he hasn't fought anyone that can crack like Kell Brook. He hasn't fought anyone with the powerful jab that Brook has, and so on. So, you know, Brook's been in there with the likes of Sean Porter, Errol Spence, etc. And Brook, it will be interesting to see after the fight how Brook assesses Conor Benn, because he'll be able to say, you know, how well Conor Benn may do against some of the other welterweights in the world, you know, the top welterweights, because he's in a position to judge. He's been in the ring with him. So yeah, Conor Benn versus Kell Brook. I like the fight. It's, like I say, funny that Eddie Hearn is all of, oh yeah, no, Kell Brook should fight on. Yeah, you care about his best interest, don't you, Eddie? You care about your bank balance and putting big fights on for DAZN, of course, your broadcaster. And Eddie Hearn must be coming under increasing pressure from DAZN in the UK, because they missed out on the Premiership deal. And so now they're going to look at their boxing and they're going to say, well, you better start producing some stars. Frank Warren has rightly said that Eddie Hearn hasn't produced any stars yet for DAZN. In the same way that Al Heyman, right? He's been long criticized with PBC for not producing any stars. You could say that he produced Floyd Mayweather because he was working with Mayweather for a long time, and I think he's the one that helped get Mayweather out of his top-ranked deal. And you could say he produced Mayweather. I guess that was before the PBC brand existed. So you could give him the credit of producing Mayweather, or at least, when I say producing, yeah, he produced him as a star. He didn't bring him from debut all the way up to world championship level, but he took him from being a fighter who was just another world champion out there. I mean, a very good world champion, but he didn't have that kind of profile. He took him from being that to being this incredible financial, commercial success beyond what the likes we've ever seen in boxing before. So you give Heyman credit for that, but once he established the PBC brand, he hasn't really produced any stars like that. Even the likes of Gervonta Davis and all these other people, they haven't come close to, never mind being on Mayweather level, they haven't come close to being on Canelo level at PBC. You see? And so for Eddie Hearn, it's going to be the same kind of thing with DAZN. He, of course, produced the star in Anthony Joshua and these other fighters, but on DAZN in America and even in the UK, they haven't brought any stars through yet. And that is pivotal. That is so important for a broadcaster to have stars that are exclusive to the platform, because that's going to bring people in. Yeah. So that is, I think, one of the reasons why Eddie Hearn's so keen on this Kell Brook fight, because it helps to build Conor Benn's profile, and it helps to keep Eddie Hearn's bosses at DAZN happy. And I'm sure Eddie Hearn likes these fights himself. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the Conor Benn Kell Brook potential fight. There is also talk about Kell Brook fighting Eubank, and even Eubank fighting Conor Benn, and this weird kind of triangle trio going on here. I mean, to briefly talk about some of those, Conor Benn versus Eubank Jr. is just bizarre to me. I understand why they want to make it because of their family names and what have you, but the size difference between two guys is just massive. I've seen them both in person, and I'm telling you, the size difference is huge. They're not close in size, in height, in body mass, anything. They're not close. And then you've got the potential for Kell Brook to fight Eubank. I think that's a more realistic fight, because Kell Brook, I've seen him in person too. Kell Brook is much physically bigger. If you see him, his body, his legs, everything, he's much bigger than Conor Benn. He's a bigger welterweight than Conor Benn. Him against Eubank is more realistic. Eubank is still bigger than Kell Brook, of course, but to me, that's more realistic in terms of they're going to be closer in strength, in natural body size. Who would win in that fight? I mean, Kell Brook's got a real good jab. Eubank Jr., fast combinations, naturally bigger. He's tough. You can't imagine Kell Brook will be knocking Eubank Jr. out, although anything's possible in boxing. Maybe that's a more realistic fight in terms of the size and the strength and all that kind of thing. So, and of course, Conor Benn and his team, if the Eubank fight were to come off, they'd like Eubank to come down to 154 or something, some type of catch weight. Whereas as Kell Brook said the same about Eubank, I think he might have done. And Brook and Eubank, by the way, don't like each other. They've had some type of rivalry for a while now. They don't like each other. So maybe we'll see how that goes. I guess it depends on who can give Kell Brook the best offer. Eubank is with Sauerland and he boxes on Sky Sports, right? He's got some type of association with Ben Shalom Boxer because of their association with Sauerland, and Sauerland, of course, having their fighters on Sky. So they need to come up with an offer for Eubank Brook to tempt Brook, and Eddie Hearn needs to try and beat that offer to get the Conor Benn Brook fight on. So again, it's going to be them competing because Eddie Hearn was trying to get the Brook Khan fight for years, but even as what do you want to call them, boxing OAPs, he was still trying to get this fight that we just saw. And he apparently, according to, I've heard contradictory reports, but according to Amir Khan, Eddie Hearn actually offered more money. But did he offer more money just to Khan? Or did he offer more money to both? Maybe he offered less money to Brook and more money to Khan. I'm not sure exactly how it worked. But he missed out on that deal, and he must have been disappointed. Despite all this passive-aggressive stuff he's saying now, oh, they're both old and nobody's really interested. Despite all this nonsense, he really wanted that fight, even though both guys were over the hill. So, yeah, it's going to be another bit of competition for Eddie Hearn. A while ago, he was saying, I got no competition in the UK. You can't call Queensberry competition. Well, now he's got competition in the British market, for sure, when it comes to these British fighters and these British fights. He's got competition. So let's see who can tempt Kell Brook. Will it be Eddie Hearn with Conor Benn, or will it be Sauerland, Boxer, Ben Shalom, etc., Sky with Chris Eubank Jr.? And which fight would you guys like to see more? Would you prefer to see Kell Brook, Conor Benn, or Kell Brook, Eubank Jr., or perhaps Kell Brook Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn? Let me know.